Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Live on Xbox for the weekend of May 26th, 2019. I'm Sean,
It's Austin.
and we're here to bring you all the news for Xbox for the past 2 weeks because we had a weekend off last week and it was a long weekend and we decided we wanted to enjoy it. So that's that. But let's get right into it today. And we're going to start off with Microsoft's Project xCloud. News came out that it will support all current and future Xbox One games, which is huge because, well, future Xbox One games, I believe it will also support the entire Xbox One family system. Family.
Yes, I heard it's going to be all the way from the original games that are available right now through backwards compatibility, all the way through till whatever's coming next.
Yeah, and then here in this article from Digital Trends, it also does say that it will support all the Xbox family of this, like all the current systems as well. That means the original Xbox, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, along with their new systems, Scarlet and Lockhart.
Lockhart, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to support all of those. And in addition, already, this is good news for developers. 3,500 games can be streamed through the xCloud without changing anything. So, Microsoft is revealing some more details about its upcoming xCloud game streaming service today. And 3,500 games will be able to be streamed without developers needing to make any changes to their titles, which is just fantastic news. It makes it a whole lot smoother. And really, with all these games being run off Xbox One S systems, you wouldn't expect anything less than that. So,
Yeah, no, that's really good. At least with the xCloud, from what we're hearing, it's not going to be like when the Xbox One X came out with the 4K updates, where they had to go in and actually, change some settings in there, like throw in an update for people who have the game to get those 4K assets. I think it's going to be way smoother, and you're going to see a lot of people who will probably use this service.
yeah, I totally agree. It does seem like it's going to be a lot smoother and a lot more available to everyone because it's going to be available on Android phones. It's going to be available on computers. It's going to be everywhere. And this is kind of a big deal because of how xCloud is coming out and how powerful they're making it and all that. It does come as a little bit of a surprise that Sony and Microsoft are now teaming up for the future of gaming for game streaming. So, Microsoft and Sony unveiled a surprising partnership last week that will see the companies collaborate to develop future cloud solutions for games and content streaming services. So, the odd thing about this is that Sony already has its own streaming service for games, and those reviews, I've played it, so I could personally comment on this. It's not a good solution. There's a lot of latency. The quality of the game, it's like you're watching a bad capture. So I think it's interesting that Sony is completely kiboshing that by the sounds of it and going to work with Microsoft. But I think it's good for the future of gaming with Google also getting in this race as well with their own solution.
What I think it means by Microsoft and Sony teaming up to help like PlayStation in the future here, what I'm thinking that means is more like helping them get their Microsoft Azure services running better, which is the back end of what xCloud is built off of. Also, what I find interesting with this is if you read some articles, there's places reporting that PlayStation staff were quote quote blindsided by this information. It's a decision that came from Sony themselves, like from Japan. So PlayStation America had no say in what was happening, which is fine. I mean, I don't understand why people are making that such a big deal in terms of like people not knowing. Like you're not going to know all the business deal, like all the dealings that's happening in your business, or your company that you work for. PlayStation 5 is still going to go forwards. they're never gonna scrap their money making consoles.
Yeah, it is just a little interesting that from what I read, they didn't inform anyone from PlayStation. But
And that's fine.
yeah, and
And you don't need to know.
sometimes companies do need to take that step that divisions are not taking themselves to make sure that they last and that they're profitable. And
Yeah, like at
the
any
future,
job that you have, there'll be changes and updates and changes to how the workplace is, and that's just what a job is. That's how things work. That's a business.
yeah, and if this is the future of gaming, you do not want to play too much. You don't want to play around with that too much. You want to be on top of it still. So
Yeah,
PlayStation 5 is still a hardware based solution, but the idea of game streaming is that it's going to be open up to a whole lot, like to a whole different audience. Like I could be on my computer and I could play PlayStation games. That's what PS Now does. And
yeah.
PS Now is not good. So if Microsoft beats them to the punch, well, all of a sudden people are playing Microsoft games on their computer instead of these PlayStation games. But if you could do both, I don't think people are going to complain.
I think Sony, they probably didn't do this deal in out of fear, but I think that they are a little worried that because Nintendo and Microsoft became close partners recently, over the last year. I think they've been working together to get online services very seamless between the two different companies. I think that they were kind of getting a little afraid that they would be left in the dust in terms of not having partnership with these other major companies, and there might be a bigger divide between their consumers and everyone else.
Yeah, and like Sony has been, in my opinion, quite behind in the past couple of years now, especially with the cross-platform. Like they didn't want to do cross-platform until everyone else did cross-platform. You had that with Rocket League, and you had that with Fortnite. And even when they'd said, "Okay, fine, we'll do it," they had barriers. They had problems with it because they didn't jump on board right away. So I think this is them trying to get ahead of it and get those issues hammered out before it goes mainstream.
I also think that this is going to help the PlayStation Network coming forwards, because like as soon as Xbox Live came out for 360, we were able to change our gamer tags, small fee for that. But PlayStation at the time, like for almost over a decade, it was, you choose a name and that's it. You can't change it. But recently they have, changed some stuff on their network to allow name changes. But I think that they really need help engineering their network because it's so archaic.
Well, but also think of it when they've been behind on these additional services for a while. And if Microsoft launched theirs, like they're expected to in the next month here, or even the next few weeks, because it's expected to get launched around E3. But imagine if xCloud launches and Sony doesn't get their hands on that kind of technology for the next 6 months. They want to get going now.
Yeah.
So, well, and yeah, so that's huge news. Just to see those two company names working together, that was weird, but it is very welcomed. I am excited to see what happens, and we'll find out probably in the next couple weeks or next month or two here. So,
All right. Well, I guess the next story that we have here is coming from some. Oh, where is it? Coming out of Kotaku from Jason Schreier, who I've always said is one of the best video game journalists out there. He has written an article about the next Call of Duty. That would be Call of Duty 2019, which will be, I think it's expected to come out this fall. Apparently, it will be called Modern Warfare, which is a title we've seen before. I mean, Call of Duty 4 was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. What it sounds like is this information seems to be fairly legit because social media influencers and video game influencers apparently have been talking to Activision and being invited out to Activision to play the game and to get some more information on it. So my guess is, just like with other Call of Duty games, that we are going to get We are going to get the day it gets announced. It's going to be content drop from all these creators. There's going to be a live stream event showing off the multiplayer, and it's going to be very much like some of the other Call of Duty releases. But I just find it interesting how we're calling it Modern Warfare again. Doesn't really make sense to me. But it sounds like it will have a campaign.
Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. So it's only it's only natural for the fourth Modern Warfare just to be called Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right?
Fair, but I mean,
it's so
I don't know.
How that franchise has gone. Like you had your Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, 4, then Modern Warfare 2, and then like you all of a sudden had these arcs coming out of like the title numbered releases, and then it just kind of went off and did their own things.
Yeah, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was the last one to have a digit in it, and then it was off to World at War, and that was technically the fifth one, but it didn't carry a number.
And then we got to Modern Warfare 2 and 3, and then Black Ops.
Yeah, I could get behind this game though, because if it's going back to the same gameplay style as the Modern Warfare games and bringing back a campaign, and they're saying that the campaign will be in the vein of the No Russian levels, so very intense terrorism being shown in video games, and really like that. If you think about Modern Warfare 2, it really pushed the boundary of what Call of Duty can be story-wise and making an impact. And I'm just hoping that maybe, even though it's like terrible to see and stuff, but it's something that if they can bring that shock value again, they might get
the roots, right?
Yeah, it might get a lot more of attention, and maybe it'll actually be good this time.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical. They haven't really been good since they've gone to the yearly release calendar. But we'll see how it goes.
Also in Call of Duty news, this is also from Jason Schreier of Kotaku. The Call of Duty 2020, which was being worked on by Sledgehammer Games, I believe. Sledgehammer, which were the people behind. Help me out here, Sean. Was it Advanced Warfare? Was that the first next gen one?
And Infinite.
Yeah. Okay. So we had Advanced Warfare, and then they made Call of Duty World War II as well. So this would be their third game for the Call of Duty franchise. Anyways, what happened is there was a dispute between Sledgehammer Games and one of the other studios helping them make the game, Raven Software, who have been with Activision for years and years and years. They also helped make Call of Duty in the past, and they've also put out their own games. Anyways, there's been disputes between the two studios.
Sorry to interrupt. Sledgehammer was Advanced Warfare and World War II.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But they did not do Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, Infinite Warfare was Infinity Ward. But the two studios working on this game are having some squabbles, some issues. So Activision pulled Sledgehammer off of the game, and they've made Treyarch, who does the Black Ops games, they've made them the primary developer for this one, and apparently it will be called Black Ops 5. Very interesting to see them actually, pull a developer off of a game that's not that far away.
Yeah, it makes me a little more skeptical even. Like, these games' turnaround times are just, like, they're so fast. It's crazy. And to hear that Sledgehammer gets pulled off, like, what?
A year and a half out?
Yeah. It's like, okay.
I don't know. That, like, what I said about the new Call of Duty, I still stand by. If it's a good campaign, I will like it. But
I think that for a while they forgot about their campaigns and went multiplayer, and that's all that mattered. If they have a good campaign, that's really all that matters. Make it a good story.
Mm-hmm. But if we could have a good 2019 one, and this 2020, because it's such a rush development, it could really, that would be the make it break it Call of Duty game, because that would be because it's weird with Call of Duty. It's good game, bad game, get everyone's respect back again. Bad game, good game, bad game. But if we get one more bad game within this time span, like 3 years or 2 years after Black Ops 4, you know, it might, if it doesn't sell well, we could probably see Activision sincerely replanning everything to do with that, just like Ubisoft did with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that, and then there's one coming this year, and then next year it's the one that's been taken away from Sledgehammer. So
Yeah.
I'm now curious to who, like, does that mean that Infinity Ward will make the 2021 game?
Infinity Ward is making the 2019 Call of Duty, like this one coming
so
out.
like, since it went,
Oh, you think they might remove Sledgehammer completely out of the equation?
I'm wondering. I'm kind of curious.
If
they go
I don't
back
know.
to 2 studios.
Losing that third studio would, I think that could destroy them.
Yeah,
because they moved from 2-year development to 3-year because there wasn't enough time.
yeah,
If they
but
go back to that,
now they're challenging Treyarch to make a game in
perform.
a year and a
Yeah.
half, and if they figure, hey, it can be done, then why not? That's kind of a little bit of a concern there.
That's a lot of risk because of all, especially with all of these. Recently, there was news about developers and or workers, developers challenging studios about the overtime that they have to work and all the crunch time. And if we hear news about Activision's crunch time being ridiculous, like, yeah, it could end badly, real badly.
Yeah, it definitely could. There's a chance of that. But we'll see. Like, when the 2020 game comes out, that'll be the really the time to actually judge it.
Okay. Anyways, in other video game news, there is recently was announced on the 10th year anniversary of Minecraft that there will be a new Minecraft game coming out called Minecraft Earth. It's an augmented reality Minecraft experience that you use your smartphone and you can create worlds in real life with your friends. Seems pretty neat.
You know what the most interesting part of this is that, this isn't really the first time we've seen it. But we saw it in a different incarnation, and I don't know if that other incarnation is still something.
HoloLens?
But remember a couple of E3s ago when we saw the HoloLens?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. I don't know if whatever actually happened to the HoloLens version, but it was very similar to what we see here. The ad that they released with this Minecraft Earth didn't really give a lot away, but it is definitely interesting on how it's going to work. And really, it comes off of that Pokemon Go craze. Really.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be great for kids to play this, get them outside, but also the HoloLens, I think that maybe this, like you're saying, like maybe they transferred the stuff that they learned from the HoloLens build over to something more commercial, something they can actually put out, because, like, let's face it, the HoloLens wasn't going to take off.
Yeah, like, it was too expensive and required too much equipment to actually launch itself. It's kind of like you need the $2,000 computer plus a $500 headset. So
yeah, it's like VR, but VR's taken steps to make itself easier to obtain.
Well, yeah, like the HoloLens was not meant for gamers. It was more meant for work stuff and engineers and designers like that. It wasn't meant for the home environment, which is why Minecraft on HoloLens, I don't think ever really took off. We never really heard of it again because that's not the right group for the HoloLens to be pushed to. But VR, that's meant for gamers, and these gamers are already dropping $2,000 on their computer systems to get a system that is VR compatible. But gamers wouldn't buy a HoloLens because that's not gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that maybe they just took that concept and they moved it over to the smartphones because, come on, let's face it, everyone Everyone's got a smartphone nowadays.
Yeah, and back when Pokemon Go came out, not everyone had a smartphone that could do the augmented reality, but now every new smartphone that's coming out, pretty much, it can do augmented reality.
Yeah, but I just thought that was a neat little thing that they showed off.
Yeah, and it's really is showing how much phones have moved forward. Like, you think of augmented reality, it really started on phones with Snapchat. And if your phone couldn't do Snapchat augmented reality, like your face filters, then you didn't have a good phone. So you made sure your next one had it. And that really pushed it. And then Pokemon Go was really the thing that finished it off and said, yes, phones are going to do augmented reality now. And now it's nice to see companies like Microsoft and pushing Minecraft to even do that and not wasting all this time that they spent on the HoloLens version. Like, to me, they really go hand in hand, and it's nice to see that concept didn't go to waste.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you just said.
So, beyond that, there are some leaks from the Microsoft, well, potential leaks. We don't know if they're true, but there have been some leaks that may be what will be talked about at the Microsoft keynote coming up. So a big one is the xCloud. Well, they're all big because they're all leaks, but xCloud will be ready for public trial soon. But there's still yet to be a date. But that is going to be a huge part of the Microsoft panel. We're not going to get a console reveal apparently, but we're going to be getting like their specs. Like, you know how Sony threw out their spec list a few months ago for the PS5?
Yeah.
It's going to be similar to that, where we're going to be getting what's in it. There's a quote here saying, no physical look at the console, but a baseline of specs, including teraflops, of course, RAM, bandwidth, CPU. It's going to be a solid state drive. And the big feature of these next generation of consoles is going to be ray tracing. So NVIDIA has launched cards called the RTX series, which is meant for real-time ray tracing, which basically is super hard to explain and even harder to give examples because only 3 games use it. But basically it's reflections and light. So
yeah, lighting, instead of just being like a shader, so like a pre-made asset from a developer, it will do shading and shadows and lighting in real time.
Yeah.
So if a light is coming across this way and it hits like a wall, instead of just having like a shadow texture shader made by by the developer, it will create that shadow using the graphics processor.
Yeah. So like in games right now, you have your general light source, right? That like it's called global illumination, I believe. But with ray tracing, it's going to be able to take the specific points of light. Like I have a lamp here, I have a lamp here, and I have a lamp here. And it's going to say, this is your light source, and light's coming from there. So it's going to send the light rays the proper way to take advantage of those shadows. Right now, the games that use it is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. They use it for shadows. And then Metro Exodus. That's the new one, I believe.
Yes.
It uses it. It's way different than Shadow of the Tomb Raider if you look technically, but it is for lighting and shadows again. But then the last one is Battlefield 5. And Battlefield 5 uses it for reflections, which is amazing. Because right now with reflections in games, it usually just takes what's in the upper world, like let's say you have a lake and you have buildings up here, it will just take that image and flip it. That's really how it works right now. And
it takes the skybox and puts it as as the texture that's reflecting.
Yeah, and let's say you had a building here, it'd just be a flipped image of that building. But if you can't see it, it won't be in that reflection. That's how it works right now. It just kind of disappears. Even if it's just blocked by yourself, like let's say it's a third-person game, you won't see it. If it's blocked by another, like a car, and you can see it under, you won't see the reflection. But with ray tracing, the light bounces off that building onto the reflective surface and back up at you. Just how light really works now. So that's what ray tracing does, and that's going to be the big push for this next generation of consoles. And with that, more games will probably use it. Ray tracing is also how like Pixar and DreamWorks animates their movies. But mind you, that's not real-time ray tracing. That is rendered.
Yeah, that's months of rendering.
Yeah, and a giant processing.
But like a server farm.
Yeah.
Rendering farm.
To do real time is amazing, and it's going to be interesting to see how many games actually take advantage of it now, since that's what they're pushing for. So that's the big push, and we're going to get that confirmation at E3. And it is expected that this new console generation will be get games closer to PC, high-end PC, with the ray tracing and all that. So that is that. And the processor, yet again, will be made by AMD. So it's hard to say whether we're going to get a lot on the processor and the graphics through Microsoft's panel, or if we're going to get it through AMD's panel, because AMD is expected to
host a PC panel, don't they?
Sorry?
Don't they host like a PC panel?
AMD does, yeah.
Yeah.
And AMD will be releasing their third generation Ryzen processors along with their new GPUs. And it is expected that they will talk about the new Xbox Project Scarlet GPU at their panel instead of at the Microsoft panel. So that's that. We talked about xCloud, so I'm just going to skim over that. It's basically what we talked about. It's going to be their biggest focus in the next year, besides the console launches. But here's a leaked list of the games and the trailers and what to expect from E3. So we're going to be expecting a Halo Infinite trailer and a 2020 release date. Gears 5 full gameplay reveal, an on-stage demonstration of single-player and multiplayer gameplay, and a release date. Gears Tactic. Did we get anything from that last year, or did we just get like?
Yeah, it was announced and shown off in a trailer when they showed Gears 5 and Gears Funko and.
Yeah, was that the top-down view one, or?
Yes, it's kind of like an XCOM style strategy game.
Okay, yeah. So we'll get a new trailer and a 2019 PC release date. Ori and the Will of Wisps, which we did get a trailer last year. New trailer and a 2019 release date. Bleeding Edge, a teaser with a 2020 release date. The Outer Worlds, which is not a Microsoft exclusive from what I remember. They own the studio, but the game was already in development beforehand. A new gameplay trailer and a release date on that one.
Yes, but I think they will be pushing for it to get good sales, so that people know who the studio is, and that when they do make their Microsoft produced one, it will be big. That's my guess why they're promoting it there.
Yeah, and it was quite big when that announcement came too, because they made Fallout. What was it? Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, because it's Obsidian, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They did Fallout New Vegas, which people do say out of the 3D Fallout games is their favorite.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. We'll get a Cyberpunk 2077 new gameplay trailer update on development progress and a target release date.
That game looks wild. Have you seen the gameplay for that, Sean?
Pardon?
Have you seen the gameplay for Cyberpunk?
I saw last year's stuff when I thought that it was a Halo.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
Cyberpunk looks insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for. But the story behind that is last year when we were watching E3, they opened with Halo and I got all pumped up and I was like, that can't be all. And then at the end, when the screen went all glitchy, I yelled out, "It's Halo!" It was not Halo. It was embarrassing. But it was Cyberpunk 2077. It looks fantastic. That's what I've been keeping my eye on. Age of Empires 4 gameplay demonstration with the 2020 release date. Fable, a teaser trailer with a potential 2021 release date.
Okay, I would like to add one thing about the Fable.
Yeah.
People are saying that on Mixer they have seen it was recently patched out, but they had seen in the list of games that they could stream. Fable 4 was in that list, but I don't know exactly what database that's being pulled from, or if it if that was real at all. But that's what I've seen on the internet.
Okay. So yeah, that one's going to be interesting because we haven't had a Fable game since like late
Fable: The Journey, and then which is a Kinect game, and then they canceled Fable Legends, which was like a multiplayer game where one person plays as like the bad guy, and then 4 other people play as the heroes. I think it's hard to remember, and I think they put out a card game too recently.
Yeah.
But Lionhead, the studio that had worked on Fable, are closed down now.
Okay, so
my guess is that Playground Games, who is most popular for working on Forza Horizon, they most likely will be doing development on it, but we'll see when it gets announced.
Yeah, and then we have a Battletoads gameplay demonstration in 2019 release date. This is one that surprised a lot of people, but I honestly do not expect Battletoads to be a huge game.
That was announced from Rare last year?
It was last year that it was announced, I believe.
Okay, because I remember when the Rare collection came out for Xbox One, a lot of like news outlets and some Reddit posts were pretty happy to be able to play Battletoads again. So I guess we'll see when they show it off. But yeah, if it's coming out 2019, they're showing gameplay at E3. Like I think it's going to be on like the lower, like the mid range kind of price point game.
Yeah, and I think I skipped over it. Sea of Thieves, the teaser trailer. That's probably going to just be more expansions and more updates for it. Microsoft has really put a lot into that game. It was supposed to be their big multiplayer online game, and it came out of the tunnel. Like it came out the gates really slow, and it's gained a momentum. It just came out with its anniversary update. So this is going to be an update on what's going to happen for the next year. And so we'll probably get 2 or 3 expansions in this next year. That's what I'm anticipating.
Sea of Thieves is one of those games that you don't hear a lot about it, but when someone talks about it, they are super amped. They love that game.
Yeah, so like it is fun. But that one, yeah, they're going to probably be announcing three expansions. I believe that's what they announced last year at E3. It was 2 or 3 expansions.
Curse Sales, the volcano thing,
Shores,
and and there's like some story thing that they announced.
Yeah, so that's that. The runtime, I forget where I saw this, but I heard it's going to be a 2-hour conference.
Yeah, I think I sent you a text about that, and it's probably somewhere in this press release.
Yeah, so it's expected to be 2 hours. It's going to be live on the Microsoft site and the Xbox YouTube channel. And Mixer. It's always going to be live on Mixer.
Also with Mixer, it's good to watch it there because they have something called the Mixpot, if you're not aware. Once you log in with your Mixer account, watch the show. Usually you're just eligible to win prizes just by watching. Last year I think you also got it, Sean, The Outer Wilds, which is a game, or not The Outer Wilds.
Yeah, Outer Wilds, not to be confused with Outer Worlds.
Okay, yeah, The Outer Wilds, which comes out soon, this coming week. We got that for free from watching E3 on Mixer. So that's, if you guys want to see some cool stuff, get some cool digital swag, go check it out.
And at the same time, make sure you tune in here as well, because we do plan on covering it live. We probably won't have the feed here with us, but we will have live reaction. If not here, we will have live reaction on Twitter. But yeah, we're amped. It's coming up real quick. I think it's only 2 or 3 weekends away now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's around the 14th, right?
It's the, am I looking at the right dates? The 15th? No, it's the 16th.
It's going to be the 14th through till the 16th.
Yeah, and Microsoft's conference is on the 16th, if I remember correctly. So that's exciting. We're going to be covering it. I'm amped. It's one of the best days to be a gaming fan all year. That and the Game Awards. Those are always good fun. So I'm excited. And yeah, so that is your news for May 26th, 2019. Little, I didn't do a lot of gaming. I'm not going to cover what I did this week. I kind of took a break. But Austin, have you been playing anything good lately?
Yeah, I played some Fortnite, and I also got heavily into Borderlands 2 through the Handsome Jack collection. Awesome game. Definitely not for everybody. I know that there's quite a few people I know who find the first half hour to hour just really painful to go through. But once you're past that, that game is just so much fun. So yeah, I'm planning on finishing that up, hopefully in time for Borderlands 3.
Yeah, I've just played a little bit of Steep and a little bit of Tomb Raider, but that's pretty much it. I really have taken a break, but yeah, Borderlands, I've heard that's good, and the third one is coming. Keep your eye on that. When it comes out, we will cover it here, and we will give you all the news on that. So with that, I'm going to say thanks for tuning in.
John, hold up. We need to inform everyone about what's coming out next week.
Upcoming games.
So the list of upcoming games for the week of May 28th to May 31st. First, on May 28th, will be Layers of Fear 2, which is a sequel to the psychological horror game that came out a couple years ago. A Cricket 19 sports game comes out on May 28th. On May 29th, a game called Void Bastards, which I believe might be the first game I know of that uses the word bastards in its title and got away with it. There was a game called Stealth Bastard that had to switch its name to Stealth Inc. because of the name. So that's very interesting that this game was allowed to keep its name. But anyways, Void Bastards comes out May 29th. Looks like a really cool art style. That's this image up here was Void Bastards up there. It's a first-person shooter. Next is Warlock's Tower on May 29th. Like we were talking about, The Outer Wilds comes out on May 30th. I will be playing that game. I have it preloaded. So if it's worth talking about, we will talk about it next week, so please tune in. Warhammer Chaos Bane comes out on May 31st. Among the Sleep Enhanced Edition, May 31st. This is a re-release of a game, like a horror game that you play as a kid who's like in a dream world. Came out a couple of years ago. On May 31st, we have Gollum Gates. And on May 31st as well, we have a game called PixArk 1.0. Those are all the games coming out this week.
All right. And then next show, we'll have some more games with gold to update you on, I believe. But yeah, I believe that's all for this show today. Hey, Austin.
Yep.
So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Austin, for catching me on missing the upcoming games. And thanks for joining us today, Austin.
Yep. I just want to mention that if you see some odd video flickers and stuff on my end, I just am using a green screen at the moment, and we're doing, if there's problems, we're going to be troubleshooting that. So it's not a problem with your phone or your computer. Just wanted to mention.
Yeah, just wanted to kind of spice up the background from a plain brown wall.
Yep.
So, all right, with that, thank you for tuning in. Thanks, Austin, for joining us today and helping host the show. Always appreciated. And
no problem.
If you liked this video today, make sure to hit that like button. If you didn't like it, make sure to hit the dislike button because that's there.
But as always, let us know why you disliked it, because criticism is appreciated when it is constructive.
Yeah, so make sure to let us know in the comments below. If you like the show, let us know what you liked about the show in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon. Once you hit that bell icon, you will get notifications on whenever we go live or post a new video. This week, we do plan on putting our links from our articles today in the description below so that they are available to you and you can do some further in-depth reading. This week's episode was a longer episode because we missed last weekend. we were not live. It was a holiday weekend, so we took that one off. But we're back. We'll be back next week, and we'll make sure to get all your news. Follow us on Twitter. It's down below there at live_on_Xbox. And then we also have a Twitch channel, which is right there. live_on_Xbox. And just make sure to follow us for all the latest news. Yet again, thanks for watching, and have a great day, gamers.